Let's just go now to our Al Jazeera Arabic correspondent, Esso. She's waiting for us there at the Ataturk International Airport. Just take us through what happened when the plane touched the ground, the sequence of events, what happened with the return of these two pilots.
Yes, the pilots whom Turkish people have been waiting for hours has just landed just minutes ago to Istanbul's Ataturk Airport. In fact, their families have been waiting for them for 71 days. There were really emotional moments here while the family members were welcoming the pilots. On 9th of August, they were abducted in Beirut while they were heading from airport to their hotel in a shuttle bus by a Shia groups called Visitors of Imam Riza, and the group have made several demands, including the release of 9 Shia pilgrims who were kidnapped in Syria's town of Azaz more than a year ago. And since then there were ongoing negotiations between different parties, including the Turkish government and also including the Qatari government. And as a part of the negotiations, 9 Shia pilgrims were handed to Turkey Friday night, and today, just 2 hours ago, two planes carrying 1 Shia pilgrims took off from Istanbul Sabiha Gökçen Airport to Beirut, and the other plane from Beirut's Refik Hariri Airport carrying 2 Turkish pilots have just arrived to Istanbul's Ataturk Airport. Also, Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan is in Istanbul Ataturk Airport to welcome the pilots.
You know, the scenes we saw, Essel, at the Ataturk Airport where you are were, I suppose, in contrast to those chaotic scenes we saw at the Refik Hariri Airport, a little bit more organized. But just take us through, who was there to meet the Turkish pilots?
Turkish government officials were here. First of all, Turkish Prime Minister was here. He just came from Ankara to welcome the pilots, but also their family members were here. As I said, there were really emotional moments here because they have been waiting for them for 71 days. And just a couple of days ago, there was a video of the pilots saying that they were fine, they were in good conditions. But we have spoken to the family members, their wives, earlier today, and they said until they're going to see their husbands, they will be anxious because they weren't sure that they will come to Turkey in good health. But finally it happened. They're fine, good, and they're in a good mood. There were lots of emotions here.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a very big story across the region because there are obviously many key regional players involved in this deal, Essel. Just take us through how this has all gone down in Turkey. What are ordinary people making of this quite complex and complicated hostage swap deal that in the end has brought back the 2 Turkish pilots?
First of all, I have to say that especially in Turkish press, Turkish government have been criticized a lot because they say as a result of Turkey's foreign policy, now Turkey is becoming a part of the negotiations, those kinds of deals ongoing in the Middle East, in the region. But finally, recently when pilots arrived, when they landed in Turkey, of course, the negotiations have resulted positively and they are fine, in good health in Istanbul now. So the mood is now changing because the negotiations have resulted positively. So instead of lots of criticizes, now there are congratulations to the government, and the family members are thanking to the government and also to the Qatari government, who was an active player in those negotiations.
Essel, we're just looking at pictures again of some of the vehicles which had surrounded the plane. I guess the pilots now moving away from the airport. Do you have any details now as to where they will go? What's the timetable? What's happening to the 2 pilots this evening?
The family members of Murat Akpınar is living in a southeastern Turkish town called Elazığ. So I'm not sure yet because until recently the plans were very hidden, very secret to the press. We are not sure yet, but they might be heading to Elazığ to see their family members, I mean their parents, their grandparents, and the family of the other pilot, the co-pilot Murat Ağca, is living in Izmir, so they might be heading to Izmir as well, but again, we are not sure about their plans yet.
Essel, let me ask you, for those viewers who are just joining Al Jazeera now and watching these live pictures, as we see one of the main buses pulling away from the airport, presumably, we're not sure, but we think the pilots, or one of them at least, may be on one of those buses now moving away under police escort, away from the plane that brought them in. Can you remind our viewers for us the sequence of events, what happened when these pilots were snatched by this group in August this year? What actually happened?
Yeah, of course. Just 71 days ago, on 9th of August, the two pilots were heading from airport to their hotel in a shuttle bus, and they were kidnapped, they were abducted by an armed group, a Shia group, whose name is Visitors of Imam Riza. And since that moment, that group were having several demands, including the release of 9 Shia pilgrims who were kidnapped in Syria's town of Azaz more than a year ago. Exactly 16 months ago they were kidnapped there. And since then there were a lot of negotiations between different parties. One part was, of course, Turkish government, but also Qatari government was another, and Lebanese government was another part of the negotiations, and those so-called groups who were captured were also part of the negotiations. So as a result of those negotiations, Friday night, 9 pilgrims were handed to Turkey, and as planned during the negotiations, 2 different planes took off simultaneously, one from Istanbul's Sabiha Gökçen Airport to Beirut, carrying 9 pilgrims, and the other from Beirut's Refik Hariri Airport to Istanbul's Atatürk Airport, carrying 2 Turkish pilots. Turkish Prime Minister, their family members, their loved ones are in airport. They were ready to welcome the 2 pilots. I must say that until till the very last moment, the negotiations were going very hiddenly, so there wasn't much known by the public, but now we know that the result of the negotiations is positive.
All right, Essel Sariyuce there from Al Jazeera Turkey, our reporter there at the Atatürk International Airport. Essel, thank you for bringing us the reaction there from Istanbul, where the 2 Turkish pilots have landed. Let's just go back to Ömer Al-Saleh.